the humid jungles of Vietnam, 1970, American soldiers spoke of many things, of lost friends, endless rain and enemies they could never see. But there was one thing they never spoke of loudly: the 9th Division that wasn't supposed to exist. Official records listed the U.S. 9th Infantry Division as disbanded after early 1969. Its colors were retired, its men reassigned. But stories from the front told otherwise. Whispers of a ghost division, men seen in blackened fatigues, appearing during the darkest battles and then vanishing without a trace. They were said to move without sound. Their eyes, hidden behind tinted visors, reflected no light. No one ever saw their insignia clearly. Sometimes after a firefight, soldiers from other units would find the ground covered in strange footprints, deep, deliberate, like someone had been marching in a perfect line through the mud. But no bodies, no dog tags. The Vietnamese called them Hung Bong Ma, the Shadow Walkers. And for decades nobody knew what they were. But buried in the archives of the CIA and the Pentagon are fragments, small, redacted reports hinting that something extraordinary was happening under the jungles of the Mekong Delta, something that shouldn't have existed. In 1968, as the war dragged on and morale collapsed, the U.S. military authorized dozens of covert research programs, desperate to find an advantage in a war that defied logic. One of these was Project Syndicate, a collaboration between military psychologists, biochemists, and special forces trainers. Its goal: to create a soldier who could see in the dark, move without fear, and sense the enemy before they appeared. Officially, it was a resilience training program. Unofficially, it was something far stranger. Participants were drawn from the 9th Infantry Division, the most battle-hardened men, known for surviving impossible odds. They were told they were volunteering for neurological endurance enhancement. What they weren't told was that the project involved experimental compounds, microdoses of LSD, derivatives, beta wave stimulants, and a controversial sensory therapy developed by Stanford psychologists. The idea was simple. If fear came from the mind, then remove the mind's limits. But something else happened. The first test group, 12 men, began to report hallucinations. Not chaotic or random ones, but synchronized. They saw the same figures in the dark, silhouettes standing among the trees, whispering in languages none of them knew. Doctors assumed it was shared delusion, until those men began moving in perfect unison during combat, reacting faster than human reflexes should allow. One report described them as functioning as a single organism. Then, during a classified night operation near Cantho, the entire unit disappeared from radar for 11 minutes. When they returned, their comms were dead, and their eyes, according to one medic, were black as the jungle sky. From that day forward, they were no longer listed as men. They were simply called the 9th. The 9th Division was deployed deep in the Delta under total secrecy. Their missions were never logged, their commanding officer's name redacted. Only one transmission survived. From that era, intercepted by a North Vietnamese field unit in 1971, it said, "Objective complete, no resistance encountered, area silent, moving with the shadows." Witnesses, both American and Vietnamese, began reporting strange events. Entire Viet Cong camps found deserted overnight. Tracks of hundreds of boots leading into the jungle, but only one set leading out. Local villagers told stories of men without shadows. When the moon rose, they said, these soldiers would appear from the mist, faces pale, voices hollow, weapons gleaming like glass. They never fired first. But when they did, the jungle itself seemed to go silent. A former South Vietnamese scout years later told an interviewer, "They didn't speak, not even to each other. I think they could hear what the other was thinking." And when dawn came, they were gone, leaving behind perfect circles burned into the grass, as if lightning had struck. Some believed they were the product of drugs, technology, or mind control. Others whispered of something older, that the experiments had opened. A door inside those men, one that could not be closed. In 1972, a top-secret mission was launched under the codename Night Harvester. The 9th Division was ordered to intercept an alleged North Vietnamese command center hidden within the Cambodian border. It was supposed to last 6 hours. Instead, it lasted 6 days. When U.S. satellites later scanned the area, they found a crater nearly 2 kilometers wide, but no sign of combat. No wreckage, no radiation, just scorched earth. And shadows burned into the trees. Radio recordings recovered from a forward base captured fragments of a distress call. They're not ours anymore. The shadows are walking. Every man from that mission was declared MIA. Officially, the 9th Division was disbanded due to attrition. Unofficially, every trace of Project Syndicate was erased. But not completely. Decades later, in 1998, declassified documents from the Defense Intelligence Agency referenced anomalous behavior among experimental infantry units in Southeast Asia. One line stood out. Subjects demonstrate non-local awareness and variable mass signatures. Recommend indefinite containment. What does variable mass mean? No one knows.